Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. The headlines. KAFUE Town Council suspended for 90 days following intensified wrangles. Counting of votes is underway in LUSANGAZI, MKUSHI and MWENSE council chairperson elections. And government to commence FISP distribution on the 8th of November 2022. And in international news, Kenya Airways pilots to strike from Saturday. And in sports, MWAPE names women national team squad for Colombia assignment. Join me with the details after this commercial.
You know, I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, my dear. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You've heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Cabbages, onions, maize, potatoes, tomatoes, chilies. At Rainglow, we supply great quality irrigation for the mentioned crops and more at an affordable price. Get our 2,000 meter flat drip for as low as 2,900 kwacha, or our 500 meter round hose for 1,300 kwacha. Customize your own spacing with our 500 meter blank round hose going for 1,200 kwacha, ideal for orchards such as avocado, mango, banana, oranges, etc. Rainglow irrigation, best quality, best price.
To read the main news in detail, I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Patriotic Front Publicity Chairperson Raphael Nakachinda has been summoned by the Electoral Commission of Zambia ECZ at the ECZ head office for questioning Monday 7th November 2022 after he allegedly uttered sentiments that the ruling United Party for National Development UPND dispatched pre-marked ballot papers for the MWENSE, LUSANGAZI and MKUSHI council by-elections. This is contained in a statement issued by ECZ Corporate Affairs Manager Patricia Luhanga to Camnet TV Friday. Meanwhile, the council by-elections have been successfully held in all three districts with an average turnout of votes, and vote counting is currently underway. The period leading up to the elections has been characterized by violence mainly alleged to be between the ruling United Party for National Development UPND and the main opposition Patriotic Front PF, a case which the ECZ says requires police action as electoral violence compromises the credibility of elections. The UPND, the PF and the Socialist Party are among the major political parties participating in the 3 council chairperson by-elections and 18 councillor elections slated for Friday, 4th November 2022 following deaths, nullifications and resignations. Suspected UPND, United Party for National Development youths, have today allegedly attacked a PASME radio station reporter in Petalke district for hosting a phone-in radio program where he was discussing issues surrounding the distribution of fertilizer under the Farmer Input Support Program FISP. Narrating the ordeal to the media whilst in Petalke District Hospital, PASME radio station reporter Lavmo Piri says he decided to conduct a phone-in program on FISP around 07 hours this morning so that he can get reactions from people since it's farming season. Mr. Piri says it was then that an unknown caller called the station warning him to stop the program as it was aimed at decampaigning the government since there was a by-election in LUSANGAZI, a nearby district. Mr. Piri complained of multiple body pains as he had gone to seek medical attention from Petalke District Hospital. And PASME radio station spokesperson Matthews Piri has condemned the attack of the station reporter, saying the media institution has always been operating in an ethical manner. Meanwhile, the UPND in Eastern Province have refuted reports that their youths have attacked a reporter from PASME radio.
One of the UPND followers, which is Simon Zoro, another man, also called on that program. And when he called, he said that the program which you are doing on radio, it is alarming the situation because the president was here yesterday and he was busy doing that program because he already addressed those issues. Now, people were listening. They started also calling, saying that this program it is contrary with politics. So if you are bringing politics in this program, I think we have a problem because as farmers we are complaining about the situation which we are passing through. At 0740, I was
bad as an institution because this is not the first time PASME radio station is being attacked in this manner. What happened today is unacceptable. We are a professional radio station. We have been broadcasting since 2003 up to now. And we know very well the regulations on how to manage a radio station and how to conduct various programs on air. An employee by the name of Lafoki was severely attacked by the cadres, and that part of the equipment was also damaged.
Allegation that your youths have beaten up the radio presenter.
Can we talk, because that one I think I may not answer. I may not answer that one because Batamangira going to rescue and to have now.
I don't know anyway, but because we are also chasing Madedra in your news.
Yeah, because from what I know is that is news to us. What we know is that the PF are doing those things on their own. You know that UPND has been a peaceful party, and we are not, violence is not part of us.
Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Gary Nkombo has suspended councillors at KAFUE Town Council, including the council chairperson Bumba Malambo, for 90 days following wrangles that had prevailed in the district. This was after allegations that the council chairperson, in the company of other council officials, have been mismanaging affairs at the local authority. Speaking to a full KAFUE council meeting Friday, 4th November 2022, Mr. Nkombo says this is meant to pave way for investigations into the allegations that the council chairperson, in the company of her co-accused, have been illegally selling land as well as mishandling matters at the council. Speaking after the announcement, KAFUE Town Council Chairperson Bumba Malambo says she is confident of being found innocent as she will come to the move.
Councillors in KAFUE district, including Council Chairperson Bumba Malambo, only resumed their council duties in February of 2023 as Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Gary Nkombo Friday morning announced a suspension which will allow for investigations in 2 reports of mismanagement of council affairs. A group of United Party for National Development UPND members have been demanding that KAFUE Town Council Chairperson Bumba Malambo, her husband the councillor, and Council Secretary Jonathan Mwanza resign for allegedly selling land and pocketing funds, as well as overall mismanagement of the council, a situation which led to UPND supporters of the council chairperson and those from the same party against her colliding on Thursday. Mr. Nkombo says he has in the meantime appointed an administrator to run affairs of the council within this period. He made this announcement to the full KAFUE council meeting Friday.
Is that of a man who answers to the name Ebo Siwakwi, Mr. Ebo Siwakwi. And this is signed under my hand as Minister of Local Government and Rural Development today, here at the ministry headquarters. We will ask the council secretary, we'll give him a sabbatical leave as well until we are settled. We are also going to give the director of planning, where this source of confusion is coming from, a sabbatical leave.
Reacting to the announcement, suspended KAFUE Council Chairperson Bumba Malambo, however, says she has received the news well and will be found innocent.
We welcome the suspension. It will give us more time as a council to go and reflect, obviously, because of the way all of us, have been told in their inside that the council has been suspended. We do welcome the suspension, and like I said, we are going back on. We have to go back on the drawing board and tone down the violence, and just let the law take its course.
Meanwhile, KAFUE UPND councillors who could be seen moving as a group after the announcement declined to comment on the matter. From UPND comment.
We don't have any comment as UPND councillors.
KAFUE councillors from the opposition Patriotic Front (PF) have however aired their grievances.
They have decided to suspend the whole council, of which we as PF, we are not going to take it and we are not going to sit on it. We'll continue talking because we have a huge duty, a huge task to speak for our people. There are a lot of projects that we need to implement in our society.
And this dissolution or suspension has come at the wrong time, as this will affect our people on the ground. There are issues to do with CDF that we are actually trying to do a little bit of progress and development in the area, and the suspension has come at the wrong time because we are unable now to continue and supervise those projects that are coming in the area.
We call to our citizens countrywide to be firm and trust us that we are going to strongly speak on their behalf, so that everything comes to normal.
Camnet News is keenly following the matters at KAFUE Town Council as they unfold. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Governance activist Brebna Changala has charged that United Party for National Development UPND structures has a leadership gap, hence the intra-party fighting that has been witnessed within the party in recent days. In an interview, the governance activist notes that this gap has been created by the migration of most party leaders into government after the 2021 general elections, leaving structures without direction. Mr. Changala was speaking in reference to the inter-party fighting that has been witnessed in UPND recently, with the latest being in KAFUE district.
Political parties are elected to serve the interest of the electorate and not their personal interest, and that is the idea of democracy. Many stakeholders, however, believe that African politics have been operating in reverse for a long time, with cadres of ruling political parties becoming violent once they feel they're not benefiting. Governance activist Brebna Changala believes this is what has become of the ruling United Party for National Development UPND, whose national structures he says have been left shaken after most leaders ascended to government offices following the UPND victory in 2021, leaving gaps which have resulted in internal fights. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Changala says the violence witnessed in KAFUE on Thursday between UPND members accusing the KAFUE Council chairperson Bumba Malambo of mismanaging council funds, among other allegations, and UPND members supporting her is a classic example, as some feel they're not benefiting.
The cadres that they have left behind are going after each other's necks because they want positions, they want to do some illegalities, they want to survive, and they are constantly wondering as to why they must find themselves in the position of misery together with the PF, which lost power a year ago. This tells you mountains of challenges by the ruling party. They have moved on, leaving the structures totally leaderless, totally unmanned, and totally rejected and dejected.
He has called for the filling of these gaps in UPND structures countrywide to offer leadership and avoid similar occurrences going forward.
UPND, as it is, gives a very sad picture for 2026. If we don't do anything, there will be no UPND. But I must say one thing. UPND will be held accountable should they allow the Patriotic Front to come back to power, because they are giving the PF leverage that actually they were wrongly removed from power. They are giving us an impression that UPND cheated its way into power. They have given us some indications that they were not ready to govern. In fact, they were good for democracy in the opposition. Let's see, fast forward, whether they will change the current picture that they have painted of themselves, that they are disorganized.
For now, all eyes are on the governing party to ascertain whether it will live up to its promises, among which is ending political violence. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Chawama Member of Parliament Tasila Lungu Mwanza has attributed the increase in the number of junkies in communities to economic hardships, adding that the country is living in tough times under the current administration. Mrs. Mwanza says people in her constituency are living in fear due to the junkies who have been terrorizing them. She has since welcomed the government's decision to start removing junkies from communities, adding that government should also find a lasting solution to end the problem. Meanwhile, Mufulira Central Member of Parliament Gordon Mwila has called on the government to establish the Office of the State Audit Commission to supervise the conduct of the Auditor General, who have in the last few months been allegedly producing sensational reports with screaming headlines.
The pronouncement that government will start flashing out gangs and junkies in communities has excited Chawama Member of Parliament Tasila Lungu Mwanza, who says community members in her constituency have been living in fear of victimization by the growing number of junkies. Mrs. Mwanza, who spoke at a media briefing in Lusaka Friday, has however attributed the increase in the number of junkies to economic hardships, adding that the country is living in a tough time.
A tough situation that the parents are operating under. They're trying to provide for their children. But in the meantime, even those children should think of their parents and what their parents are going through. They're trying hard to provide for them. So they shouldn't go and now get themselves involved in these gangs.
Mrs. Mwanza has however called on all community members to support government's effort to put into an end the terrorism by the junkies and the gangs.
We don't want our residents now to take issues in their own hands. I know that the situation is tough out there. There's no money in circulation. There hasn't been money in circulation for a while. Mothers are out there, fathers are out there trying to make a living. In the meantime, the children are growing and getting into these gangs. They don't have the guidance that they need.
Meanwhile, Mufulira Central Member of Parliament Gordon Mwila has called for the establishment of the Office of the State Audit Commission to supervise the works of the Auditor General, adding that the Auditor General has been producing screaming headlines in their reports in the last 1 year with information which is questionable.
If you go deep in those reports and find all the documents that accompany such contracts, you would find that in fact those headlines are just sensational, they're just screaming. They don't speak to the actual truth in terms of what transpired. But that is what the Auditor General will not tell you. All they will tell you is that we have discovered such kind of money was paid. Now, why is the conduct in that way? It's because we do not have that office, the State Audit Commission, that should be overseeing the operations of the Office of the Auditor General. So we need that now to be put in place.
Meanwhile, Kamfinsa Member of Parliament Christopher Kangombo also says he is disappointed that government has given back KCM to Vendetta despite the damage that it caused to the people of the Copper Belt.
I thought that making progress would mean, one, securing jobs for our people, paying off contractors that have done services, getting new life into the mine without the conversation around Vendetta. But if Vendetta wants to sell its shares to itself, I think that it does not provide the right solution. If government has no solution to KCM, they should bring the matter to Parliament. They should come to Parliament and say, here's a ministerial statement, we have failed to sort out this problem. We want a parliamentary committee, whether it's on mining or parastatals or whatever entity, to quickly look at this issue and then come up with recommendations.
And Shiwangando, Member of Parliament Stephen Kampyongo, also added his voice to the issue of political violence that have characterized the by-elections in the country.
So we expect that the Minister of Home Affairs should encourage the police officers to apply themselves, because they may be intimidated now because they know that some of their colleagues have been fired unceremoniously. And we are asking Honorable Machungwa, Dr. Machungwa, who is the chairperson of the Police Service Commission, to understand that whatever decisions they are making there can have an effect on the performance of the police. And we are not going to be cowards. We are not going to be intimidated. There's only one country, Zambia, where we all belong. There's no one who has got title deeds to the whole nation. We all have got equal rights to belong to this nation.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Vice President Mtani Nalumango has assured the distribution of farming input to farmers under the Farmers Input Support Program FISP across the country will begin on the 8th of November 2022. Speaking during the Vice President's question time in Parliament Friday, Mrs. Nalumango reiterates that the farming inputs such as fertilizer have already been distributed to various districts and that the exercise to deliver to individual farmers will commence next week.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'd like to thank the Honourable Member from Mukaika. Good morning, Honourable. Thank you for your greetings. Maybe there is a bit of exaggeration that no single pack has been taken to Katete. I'm being informed that there is something there. But even if there is nothing, I declared through the Member of Parliament for Petauke that distribution starts next week. So this is the assurance I can give, with the assurance that I also get. So next week, probably on 8th is which day? Tuesday. That means Friday, Honorable Minister, people should not come and ask me the same question. So we are hoping that on 8th, the distribution to the farmers will start. And that will take care of what was not given. Because again, on the floor of this House, I assured people that those that had paid and had not received their fertilizer will be given this year together with the new fertilizer. Thank you.
Meanwhile, the government has directed all mobile network service providers to intensify their consumer awareness and educate efforts in ensuring that customers are well informed about how to manage their data usage and the availability of channels for redress. Minister of Science and Technology Felix Mtati says the Zambia Information and Communications Technology have been assigned to intensify efforts in a quest to improve service delivery for customers. The minister made the ministerial remarks in Parliament on the question raised by Chiengi Member of Parliament, Given Katuta, pertaining to the rapid depletion of data bundles among Airtel subscribers.
For quite some time, there has been a heightened public outcry over the rapid depletion of data bundles among Airtel subscribers.
Madam Speaker, through you, I would like to find out from the Minister, because in my question, I would say my point of order, I included also dropped calls and bad network. In other nations, Madam Speaker, when there's a drop call, it's not supposed to be charged, but Airtel still charges us. It's a reason, Madam Speaker, on the social media, everyone is crying. Dropped calls are charged, poor network, and also depletion of bundles. So I would like to find out if that was not also included by Zicta when they were checking the platform.
Friday morning, Technology and Science Minister Felix Mutati attributed the situation to the improvement in internet speed. Mr. Mutati was moving a ministerial statement in Parliament on the question raised by Chiengi Member of Parliament, Given Katuta, pertaining to the rapid depletion of data bundles among Airtel users. He has, however, assured that government has directed the Zambia Information and Communication Technology ZICTA to come up with measures to address the situation.
Madam Speaker, even in the face of faster internet speed, government is, however, still concerned with the persistent complaint on the quality of service from our people. I wish to inform this august House that the government has directed the following. 1. That all mobile network service providers should intensify their consumer awareness and education efforts to ensure that customers are well informed about how to manage their data usage and are aware of the availability of channels for redress. 2. Intensify investigations on activities to ensure that where customers are wrongly billed, including drop calls, they should be refunded accordingly.
Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson Tabo Kawana says the government has prioritized education because it is the greatest equalizer to success. Mr. Kawana says the government has demonstrated its commitment to steering education as evidenced in the provision of free education and promotion of skills development in the country. He says the government is cognizant that without quality education, there can never be meaningful development to enhance the government spearheading inclusive access to education.
Sustainable Development Goal number 4 is about quality education and is among 17 Sustainable Development Goals established by the United Nations in September 2015. SDG 4 seeks to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. The Handmaid Sisters, Our Lady of Annunciation Convent School, during its annual graduation ceremony for the grade 7s, underscored its commitment to complement the government efforts in the provision of quality education. The school anticipates a 100% pass mark and awarded the pupils with the best performing learners enjoying a double reward at the event that was graced by Minister of Information and Media Director spokesperson Tabo Kawana. Mr. Kawana highlighted government's resolve to realize inclusive quality education.
The president always emphasizes that education is the greatest equalizer. That is why your government, this government of President Hakainde Hichilema, has made sure that we provide free education from grade 1 to grade 12 to the young people in Zambia. And for the vulnerable young people that still want to continue and go to boarding schools, we have again made it very possible that via the CDF, all the pupils going to boarding schools and are selected by their constituencies as vulnerable children, they are paid for using the CDF. But that is not all. We understand that young people are both in school and out of school. So even for those that are out of school, again, this your government has provided that every young person in the constituency is free to go to any skills training institution.
And the best performing pupil in mathematics and other subjects implored her fellow pupils to work hard and get good grades.
Makes me feel very happy. I can't express how I feel right now because I'm just overwhelmed with excitement. Mathematics is a very cardinal subject in anything that you want to do in life. I'd like to be a lawyer when I grow up because I love defending people whenever I know that they are not in the wrong.
And our parents have underscored the need for guardians to always monitor their children so that they grow up into responsible members of society.
Kids nowadays, there are so many things to distract them. We also have to put in measures, like now, these days you find that there are things like the internet, WhatsApp, such kind of things. So you have to make sure that you regulate.
I know nowadays our children are exposed to a lot of things like phones, WhatsApp, and the like. So the internet, let's also find time to see what our children are doing, what they are watching, and then encourage them to be hardworking and to be prayerful as well.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
In other news, the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission (CCPC) and the COMESA Competition Commission have signed a revised cooperation agreement that will ensure that consumers and businesses are protected from unfair trading practices, among other things. COMESA Competition Commission Chief Executive Officer Dr. Willard Mwemba says the coming of digital platform as well as the signing of certain agreements that allows trade without borders between countries will kill small businesses if a framework is not put in place. Meanwhile, Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry Permanent Secretary John Mulongoti, in a speech read on his behalf by Ministry of Domestic Trade Director Margaret Chikuwo, says it is the hope of the government that the MOU will strengthen existing working relations.
They say trade is an engine of growth that creates jobs, help reduces poverty, and increases economic opportunities. But when there is unfair trading practice, the majority of small businesses tend to suffer, while consumers equally pay a greater price. The Competition and Consumer Protection Commission (CCPC) and the COMESA Competition Commission had in 2018 signed a memorandum of understanding to cooperate in the enforcement of competition and consumer protection in Zambia and the common market, on the other hand, through a formal cooperative framework. The framework agreement was premised on the recognition that anti-competitive conduct and consumer exploitation were increasingly becoming cross-border in nature, affecting not only nations but multiple jurisdictions. 4 years down the line, the two institutions have since signed a reviewed cooperative framework to provide a concrete and renewed commitment to ensure fair trade practices and consumer protection.
We observed that we are not in that MOU where things like consumer welfare and protection. There was more emphasis on competition itself, but not on consumer welfare and consumer protection. But we do competition with the ultimate objective of enhancing the welfare of consumers. So that was a fundamental shortcoming that has been very well addressed in the MOU. Secondly, among other issues I may not exhaust, there was not much emphasis on the digital economy.
Dr. Mwemba also touched on the aspect of the continental free trade area and the impact it will have on many Zambian businesses if a proper framework is not put in place.
The MOU that we are signing, one of the things that will be there in that MOU is raising awareness to our business people. The consequences of this AFCFTA that we are talking about, they need to be addressed. They need to be competitive. They do not always need to cry foul when they've been told that your behavior is anti-competitive, that no, the CCPC or the COMESA Competition Commission is an enemy to business. No, to the contrary, they are preparing you for that AFCFTA, where even without a competition law, you will naturally die if you are not competitive.
Meanwhile, CCPC Acting Executive Director Brian Lingela also added his voice.
Through these 98 cross-border measures that have affected Zambia over the last 4 years, Zambia, through our national treasury, has received up to 14.2 million Kwachai notification fees just in these few years.
In Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry Permanent Secretary John Mulongoti, in a speech read on his behalf by Ministry Domestic Trade Director Margaret Chikuwo, is hopeful that the signed agreement will strengthen an already existing working relation.
We know that you are very cognizant of the importance of enforcement, but even as you carry out your enforcement efforts, what is very important is also to take cognizance of the fact that the consumer is an important factor in this enforcement that you will be collaborating on together.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more after this.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
In our quest to save nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the rest of the main news. The Anti-Corruption Commission ACC will embark on a nationwide crusade against road traffic corruption dubbed No Bribes But Fines campaign. ACC Head of Corporate Communications Timothy Mono says the rampant cases of corruption involving motorists and traffic law enforcement officers witnessed over the years need to be brought to a stop, as the impact of this scourge has not only robbed the lives of family members, but also diverted revenue from government coffers. He says road traffic corruption has enriched selfish law enforcement officers at the expense of people's lives and adversely affected public service delivery, further increasing costs in the road transport business. The No Bribes But Fines campaign is expected to commence on the 15th of November 2022 till the end of the year.
The Commission has engaged a number of stakeholders that include the Truck and Bus Drivers Association of Zambia, the SADC Truck and Bus Drivers Association, the Bus and Taxi Owners Association, the National Drivers Association of Zambia, the Female Truck Drivers Association or Cooperative, the Truckers Association of Zambia, the Zambia Police itself, the Road Transport and Safety Agency, and Transparency International. We've come together to see how best we can deal with this scourge. The meeting has resolved that the campaign should, among other things, publicize the traffic offenses and fines, publicize the need to reject bribes and report corruption, and hold simultaneous nationwide marches against the vice, and have integrity checks of compliance to traffic regulations by motorists and law enforcement officers, and also hold public endeavor and discussion forum to get views on the extent of the problem and find solutions.
The Young Emerging Farmers Initiative, YEFI, has urged Zambian farmers to seriously consider ensuring their crops for the 2022-2023 farming season to avoid drawbacks caused by climate change. In an interview, YEFI Executive Director Matthew Ntabo has noted that a number of farmers were left stranded in the past farming season after their crops were destroyed by extreme weather conditions such as floods. He notes that crop insurance not only helps farmers to get back on their feet in a case of shocks, but also guarantees food security in the country.
For us, we think that the solution for farmers is ensuring that the crops and other commodities are actually insured. We know that for FISP, insurance is embedded in the FISP program, but most farmers have not been able to access, and there's need actually to publicize that so that people know exactly how they can access their insurance for FISP. For those that are not on FISP, it's important, it's very critical. It could be, you could have animals, you could be talking about crop, all those needs insurance, so that at the end of the day, you'll be able to make a profit. You know, agriculture without making a profit becomes meaningless. And for us in agribusiness, we think that it's important for farmers to invest in insurance.
Africa Policy Research Institute, APRI, says Zambia continues to be adversely impacted by climate change, and sectors such as agriculture, energy and tourism remain vulnerable to climate shocks. APRI Senior Visiting Fellow Theo Akipong has observed that African countries are already bearing the brunt of the consequences of climate change despite contributing little to emissions. Dr. Atrapong is concerned with the huge financing gap, particularly adoption financing. He was speaking during the launch of Climate Finance Report themed Climate Finance in Zambia Needs Challenges and Opportunities for Delivery of Low Carbon and Climate Resilient Development. Dr. Atrapong says Africa needs $250 billion annually in conditional and constitutional financing between 2020 and 2030 to implement its nationally determined contribution NDCs under the Paris Climate Agreement.
Zambia's challenging issues they've had in the last couple of years, just trying to restructure a number of your external debt, and in the context of these monies coming in as loans and often commercial loans rather than concessional facilities and grants, then it's already going to add on to the debt burden of many African countries. The government is preparing or working on this new green growth strategy, which is seeking to give life to the NDC commitments, and I also like the idea that this green growth strategy is not just about reducing emissions, but there are sort of interlinkages to broader issues of industrialization and trying to reduce inequality and poverty across the board. We need to increase the advocacy and the effort to get the developed countries to honor those commitments. And as I've said, even if all of the 100 billion were met today, it will still not be enough to address the needs of the respective African countries.
The Cotton Board of Zambia is urging local manufacturers to take advantage of locally grown cotton to produce sanitary pads. Cotton Board of Zambia Chief Executive Officer Sunduzwayo Banda says Zambia is producing enough cotton with which local manufacturers should take advantage of to manufacture sanitary pads. Mr. Banda says increasing locally produced sanitary pads will boost job creation as well as increase accessibility of the commodity to vulnerable people in society. He has encouraged local manufacturers to take advantage of adequate cotton lint locally to produce sanitary towels to meet the demands. He explained that the country has the capacity to produce sanitary pads to satisfy the local market and export. He is concerned that 99% of cotton produced in Zambia is exported to the Far East countries. Meanwhile, Mr. Banda has called on the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises Development to build capacity for small and medium enterprises to enable them favorably compete in the manufacturing sector.
We are urging most of our local manufacturers to take advantage of the cotton being produced in this country. We have, immense lint that we're sending outside. You can imagine 99% of what we produce, we're sending it to the Far East. To countries in the Far East, China, India, Singapore, and so on. We would love to see a situation where our local producers here take keen interest. For example, we've been talking about production of sanitary pads for girl children. It's a sad story that girl children in rural areas especially lose about 6, 7, 8 days in a month. They don't attend school because they cannot afford sanitary pads. And my wish is that the Minister of SME and the Minister of Education can come on board, and we partner with cooperatives like Premier Cooperative, for example, which is doing medicated cotton for the hospitals. We could have washable sanitary pads for the girl child, which should be distributed freely. I feel that should be the campaign that we should have, that we should be able to afford these pads for the girl children, factor it in as a budget, and then from the cotton sector, we will produce the raw material for that. And we already have someone, like I said, Premier Cooperative, who is producing medicated cotton for use in our maternity wards for our women. So we could do the same to produce, reusable pads locally, or sanitary pads that are affordable by the rural communities. India has done it. We could learn 1 or 2 things from them.
International and sports news coming through right after this commercial.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbanda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Are you going in grade 6, 8, 10 or 11 in 2023? Waste no time. Born for Greatness Tuition Center will be opening to the public in Kablonga, Lusaka. Quality and experienced teachers guaranteed. Limited space available. Call and book for your child now on
0962 382535.
Classes are starting on 5th December 2022. Born for Greatness Tuition Center, learning for reigning in life.
Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a look at what we have in our international news. The Kenya Airways pilots are planning to strike from Saturday to demand better working conditions, despite a court ruling suspending their strike notice, their union said on Friday. Kenya Airways, owned by Kenya State and Dutch company KLM, is one of Africa's largest airlines with many routes to Europe and Asia. However, it is currently going through a difficult period and is surviving only on state aid. The Kenya Pilots Association, KAFUE, said that several meetings with management had not led to any progress. Here's a roundup of international news.
Flight disruptions loom as Kenyan Airways pilots say they plan to go ahead with a strike from Saturday, despite a court order suspending their industrial action. This comes after the Kenya Pilots Association said it has failed to reach an agreement in talks with management on better working conditions. They're demanding the company restart contributions to a provident fund and back pay salaries owed during the COVID-19 pandemic. Thousands of flights are expected to be cancelled, and the airline has urged passengers planning to travel in the next 48 hours to contact customer care. It's described the planned strike as unlawful, ill-timed and unnecessary, saying it will result in further financial hardship for the troubled company. Kenyan Airways flies over 4 million passengers to 42 destinations annually. 2 weeks after a fire began on Africa's tallest and most famous mountain, Tanzania's Prime Minister says it has been largely contained. Earlier this week, soldiers were mobilized to reinforce civilian fighters and volunteers battling the blaze on Mount Kilimanjaro. It has ravaged both wildlife and vegetation in the area, which is popular with tourists.
Actually, it was really devastating, the experience, because we could feel the fire is either following us or is right next to us, because we could still breathe and feel the smoke, and the breathing was really, really hard, and we could see the devastated nature all around us. So it was a really hard experience for us to see that and to be right next to it.
As the fire continues to smoulder or burn in some areas, officials say it has so far destroyed about 33 square kilometres of bushland. The cause of the blaze is yet to be established.
The World Bank announced a total of $497 million in aid to convert one of South Africa's oldest coal-fired power stations. The leading African industrial power still draws 80% of its electricity from coal, the mainstay of the South African economy, employing nearly 100,000 people. But the aging infrastructure makes power cuts frequent. The Camnet power plant was shut down on Monday. The plant, which had 9 generating units, consumed up to 12,000 tons of coal a day and produced twice as much as electricity as all the country's existing plants when it was completed 60 years ago. According to the World Bank, the renewable energy production site will be powered by 150 megawatts of solar, 70 megawatts of wind and 150 megawatts of battery storage.
Let's get into sports news. Zambia's senior women national team coach Bruce MWAPE has named a 32-member provincial squad for the 2 international friendly matches against Colombia on November 12th and 15th in Cali. MWAPE has named number 6 foreign-based player, including CFF Zaragoza forward Recho Nachula and the jet-heeled Recho Kandamnanji, who is on the books of CFF Madrid with Grace Chanda in Spain. Others are Margaret Balemu, Misozi Zulu and Hezon Nali, who all play their trade in the Turkish women top flight. The COSAFA champions will be entering residential camp this weekend after players feature for their respective clubs in the Zambian leagues. Foreign-based player will join directly in Cali, where Zambia will be heightening its preparations for the FIFA Women's World Cup, to be co-hosted by Australia, New Zealand. Skipper Barbara Banda is unavailable for the November FIFA window following COVID-19 restrictions in China that demand prolonged quarantine. Shanghai Shengli had allowed Banda to be part of the Women Africa Cup of Nations, although she did not play and COSAFA tournaments before returning to her base. Banda will, however, be available for subsequent preparatory matches as the Copper Queens, who are in Group C alongside Spain, Japan and Costa Rica, step up preparations for the biggest sporting event in the women's game. Well, that sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. KAFUE Town Council suspended for 90 days following intensified wrangles. Counting of votes is underway in LUSANGAZI, MKUSHI and MWENSE Council Chairperson elections. Government to commence FISP distribution on the 8th of November 2022. And in international news, Kenya Airways pilots to strike from Saturday. And in sports, MWAPE names women national team squad for Colombia assignment. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of 2 Corinthians 3 verse 6, and it reads, "He has made us competent as ministers of a new covenant, not of the latter but of the Spirit, for the latter kills, but the Spirit gives life." Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.